Neon Demon is the latest film from Nicholas Winding-Refn, and there are 5 words that will always pique my interest. Latest film from Nicholas Winding-Refn. Winding-Refn is a very polarizing director. I think Drive is one of the best films I've ever seen, but the majority of people that I've recommended to and have watched it hate it, and honestly, I can see why. But he's polarizing even to his own fans, of which I count myself as one. Bronson and Drive are 2 of my absolute favourite films, but Only God Forgives was a bit of a misstep for me. He essentially disappeared a bit up his own back bottom, as far as I'm concerned on that one. It had some very nice visual flourishes, but come on. People are allowed to talk in movies, Nicholas. This brings us on to Neon Demon. And as is usual for Winding-Refn, this is super not for everyone. This is going to be a very divisive, very polarizing, there's that word again, film. This is somewhat borne out, I think, in the reaction it received at Cannes. Mass walkouts followed by a standing ovation. I'm still absorbing and thinking about the film since I saw it, but my reaction remains the same from when I first walked out the cinema to now, only it has in fact grown in strength. I think this film may well be truly brilliant. The story is relatively simple. Elle Fanning is Jessie, an extremely young but purely beautiful girl, leaves home and enters the vicious, cutthroat world of fashion, where her arrival and success, immediate success, sparks bitterness, jealousy and rivalry, especially in 2 other still young but apparently already fading models in Gigi and Sarah. It doesn't sound too inspiring, I know, but this is very much a case where the journey is just as much, if not more important, than the destination. I pretty much love every aspect of this film, which means I'm going to struggle to make this an entertaining review. But there are a few aspects that have really stuck with me. The film is visually stunning, absolutely outstanding. It's one of the most purely striking visually films I've ever seen. Refn's use of colour is excellent. He uses neon, obviously, but it's not overused. And I absolutely loved his use of pure, bright white in certain scenes. Certain scenes are purely white, but that's contrasted with other scenes that are incredibly dark black, accentuated with like pulsating reds. Those scenes, the dark scenes, were very reminiscent of Only God Forgives, but used with the contrast of the incredibly bright white scenes, I thought they worked better and more dramatically. The other tool he uses really effectively in the film to create the atmosphere is sound, or sometimes the lack thereof. He uses, especially in those dark, claustrophobic scenes, very loud, very oppressive synth sounds. And this is just pure sound, pure noise. It's not a tune. And it really does add to the atmosphere of the scene, and again, that claustrophobia in the scene. They did give me a little 80s vibe at times, almost inevitably, since if I hear synth, I immediately think the 80s, and they did remind me of Drive occasionally with its very synthy soundtrack, but it soon grew really into something completely of its own. Again though, as with the colours, the film will contrast those scenes involving loud, oppressive, constant sound with other scenes of silence. Often accompanying those bright white scenes, the only sound may be the characters talking to each other. If not, there will be nothing. The third real highlight in the film for me was Elle Fanning as Jessie. I actually don't think this is a style-making performance, purely because I don't actually think enough people will see the film, but I do think she gave an absolutely exceptional performance in this film. She starts off as this perfect, fragile, innocent creature who doesn't know anything and doesn't know how to react to anyone in this new world she finds herself in. But just gradually, she begins to realize the power she has, and the power she has over other people because of how she looks, and a different side of her begins to show. It's subtle, which is important. It wouldn't have felt right for her to simply flip personality, and she doesn't. But Fanning's small physical expressions, the curl of a quarter smile or the turning of a foot, show that she's starting to learn and enjoy this new world, the power she has, and the way people react to her. The savagery and egoism, if that's a word, may be affecting her and tainting her, or it may simply be bringing out what was already there. I don't know. I've only found one tiny flaw with the film, and it's right at the very end. I'm not going to spoil it, leave that for the spoiler section, but there is one element, small element at the end which looked somewhat fake. I know why they did it, and it was again very striking, but it did take me out of the film just for a moment. I even heard a laugh in the cinema from it, and honestly, I couldn't condemn it. I said before that I'm still thinking about this film now, and that's really important for me. I saw this film 3 days ago, I think, and I've had trouble thinking about any other media since. This film really left its mark on me, and that's just about the highest compliment I think I can pay it. In a way, it's hard to recommend a film that's received both mass walkouts and standing ovations. It's a film that's going to invoke strong emotions, strong feelings in its audience, for good or bad. It's a very Marmite film, to use a British term. All I can say is, I fucking love Marmite, and I stand firmly in the corner of those applauding, and I would have been the first up and the last down. I'll be going into more detail on certain scenes in the spoiler section, but if you don't want to see that, and believe me, if you haven't seen the film, do yourself a favour and do not watch the spoiler section yet. If that's the case for you, thank you for watching, and I'll talk to you soon. Otherwise, I'll see you in a couple of moments in the spoiler section. Welcome to the spoiler section. Now, as with a lot of Winding-Refn films, there was a lot of symbolism in this film, and different people are going to come out of the film with different opinions as to what certain scenes, certain images, certain things meant in the film. This is simply my interpretation of some of the things that I took from my personal viewing experience of the film. The dark black and red scenes that I mentioned in the main review, in which Jessie begins to embrace her darker side, as it were, are absolutely stunningly shot and directed. There is no dialogue that I remember, only synth noise and amazing visuals showing the development of her character. It was when the first of these scenes started, just after Jessie meets Ruby, Gigi and Sarah, that I began to realise that this film could be truly special. Jessie is the only main female character we don't see nude in this film. Even when she is told to strip by a photographer, we don't see it. I love that because it works on two immediate levels for me. It both speaks to the exploitative nature of the industry, but Jessie remains untouchable, unseeable, even if it is only to us as the audience. I also loved her death scene for two reasons. First, the fact that Nicholas Winding-Refn had the balls to kill off his main character, but also the fact that her death scene is so anticlimactic. This perfect, beautiful girl is ended by being pushed into an empty swimming pool and having the back of her head crack off the bottom, bleeding out and being left a broken mess. Her youth and vitality are taken from her because of jealousy, bitterness and ambition, and then the industry and those in it literally devour her for their own personal gains. My only flaw in the film was at the very end, when one of the characters vomits up Jessie's whole eyeball after they ate her. I understand why it was done. It's a very harsh, striking image. It shows immediately what they've done, and the film is all about the fact that in this world, exterior beauty, what the eye can see, is what's important. It's the only thing that is important. Contextually, the eyeball works fantastically. It just looked somewhat fake to have the character vomited up whole. This is a film that is going to be watched and rewatched by me, and I hope many others, over and over again. and it won't surprise me if I keep on finding and discovering new things that I love with every new visit. Thank you for watching, and I'll talk to you soon.